Hello. Whoops. Do 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 do. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Hello. Can you hear me, Dan? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Tayo? I don't know. Okay, looks like it works. Cool, thank you. So, the title of this is Practicing Listening. So, let me drop a link. Let's see. And I get to practice. Yeah, there's a tendency within me to not listen well, and there's for many reasons. So I get to practice with other people. I'm also just gonna have one other thing going on over here occasionally, but not a lot. If all goes well. Um, oh yeah, so the conversation I guess that's happening is I guess there was a highlight on Michael Sartori talking about what his interests. But it's a, I think, yeah, maybe we all kind of realize that beyond our interest is something else. Um, that's at least what I noticed. My the things I'm interested in might not be the things you're interested in. What would be the difference to find it easy to listen to hours of music, but harder to listen to lectures for long? Well, this is a good point about effort. So you could put in effort listening to music. You might try to pick out the notes. You might be trying to, transcribe the music, be able to replay it. You might be trying to discern the lyrics, but there's something to do with effort. Also, with lectures, for me personally, it's helpful to be able to ask questions. Um, yeah, and my brain's weird. Um, so it helps it helps to ask questions. It helps to kind of review what was said. But yeah, the reason I'm here is to practice listening. Uh, that's something I can do here, and it's something that is helpful in life. I get to practice listening better with my wife and children, and I'm not good at it. So, fair warning: if you come in, I'm like one of the slow people when it comes to listening attentively. So, but I'd love to try. Whatever you're interested in, we can talk about that. We can try to. You can try to teach me. I can try. I'm actually a little bit sick. I think I'm recovering. And I've noticed that I wrote down a note. It's hard to love when you're hurt. Um, I noticed it. So it's a little harder to listen and a little harder to love when you're experiencing pain. So that was an insight. That was something that was given to me. But yeah, I don't enjoy getting on these things, but I do like it's not fun, but I enjoy challenging myself. So that's why I get on these things, and um, and the thing that I'm trying to get better at is being okay with stumbling, making mistakes. I have some subtle fear. I have a subtle fear um, of how I'm perceived. So I get to I could work on that, not worrying about how I'm perceived. It's tricky. It, it helps to have your heart in a good place. Anthony, good afternoon. Yeah, I'm looking for anyone to hop in so I can practice listening. Um, I can ramble all day, but um, ramble like I'm a software engineer and I'm a father and a husband, and I have neighbors. So there's these things where I could potentially talk about them. I've done a lot of fishing, climbing, running, soccer, American football. I was a kicker in American football. But we could talk about religion too. That's what people like to talk about. In this little corner, it seems like love is important and God is love. That we hit on that topic, or we try to embody that. But I'll catch my mind uh, wanting to correct people, or you know, and I have to remember that when you love the person, you want to understand their perspective. So it's not about trying to correct them, um, especially for some things. And then even if it was something where you loved them and wanted to correct them, that's listening to them carefully and knowing them is about the only way. So y'all can sit around and watch me eat. Oh, I could play something. I got the Grim Grizz branding. I downloaded it in case he hopped in again. I have to help people feel virtually not alone if I use the branding. But I downloaded some of my favorites, and so while I take bites of food, I could play some of those. Um, the longest one I called Clouds, and it's 1 minute and 44 seconds. So let me take a few bites. hesitate to allow the branding. I would have to help people feel virtually not alone. Here we go. He's exercising. Your mic's a little low.
Is it? Maybe. Probably because it's down here. Is that better?
I hear you better now.
I probably need to switch headphones. What's happening? Am I back? Is it better?
Oh, that's great. That's great audio.
Oh, geez. I don't even think it's connected to these things. Am I interrupting?
You're not interrupting anything, Luke. You're not interrupting anything. I'm just hanging out. Just hanging out. The whole idea is to practice listening. And I do have some food. And it's very good. I heard someone say that the making bread is hard, but it's like, man, my wife and my father-in-law know how to make bread really well.
Yeah.
They have their own mix. So what's up? I'm doing practice listening.
Dude, all I've been doing is talking all morning already. I thought PVK was going to be live streaming right now, but then I saw it was like his members only chat with Laura and Sam, but I saw they got pushed to 2:30 or something.
Yeah, I saw that too. Well, I think it was all yeah. I plan on trying to listen to that, but we'll see.
Yeah, I like Sam, obviously, and Laura's just great. So we're going to talk about, what is it, mythical sex?
Mythical sex.
I think that's what the tag was, wasn't it? The title?
Let me double check. I
Some
did
clickbait.
see sex in the title. Let's see. If I go to live. Sex, the strange, and the supernatural. Members only.
Man, yeah.
Not necessarily mythical.
Oh, I guess, see? Look at that. I saw what I wanted to see. Mythical sex.
The strange and the supernatural.
Oh, man. Yeah, so, Gavin, I do see, I don't know, it is interesting. In your becoming a Christian or born again experience or whatever, there is there's a palpable difference in you, I think.
I still noticed the thing that was in me, though. So, like, I noticed my past self and the ways, my habits and all of that. And then I have to remind myself, it's like, that's not the way to be.
Dude, it's the old man and the new man. There was I just put a I guess, what is it, a post on my channel where I just put out I just saw on this Love Unrelenting channel that I have, or that I follow, that just talks about Christian Universalism. There's a little like 11-minute, 20-second interview with Jordan Daniel Wood, like asking him if you can be a confident Universalist and a Catholic. And it's just so good. Everything Jordan Daniel Wood says is good. And that's essentially what he's talking about. He's like, there's a way in which you can kind of affirm all the views of hell if you kind of take, he talks about, the whole thing's really good. People should watch it if they're interested, but he says there's a way you can affirm all of them, because if you take like the old man, we're called to put off the old man and put on the new man, right? The man that's the flesh, the man that's wired toward worldly desires and put on the new man that's being made new, you know. And there's a way that you could almost say that that old man is what is going to hell and being like annihilated, eliminated, essentially. The old man is annihilated.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's
And the
interesting.
new man is being renewed, you know, and that's kind of a earthly, purgatorial, just kind of transformative thing into the image of Christ, you know.
Yeah, and it takes effort.
Yeah, in my experience.
It's like it's the idea that you like just having some type of immediate like grace, like that's just like where you just the love pours from you at every moment, or something.
Yeah.
Like that. That's not the way it is in my experience. I still have I like to call it that there's a Christ and an Antichrist in me.
Yeah. Did you so I don't know, did you watch some of the live stream this morning or Paul's
I,
video, the homeroom
I
video?
did. I watched the let's see. I watched the start of the homeroom video,
Okay.
and I caught I caught a lot of the live stream that he pointed at, but the one that you did this morning, I couldn't listen for long.
Dude, there's too much. It's ridiculous. If I'm gonna live stream every day, it's too much. And I'm not gonna. But
I think people have to understand that it's like we're doing practices, right? We can't expect anyone to be able to keep up with what everybody
no, yeah,
is talking about.
no way. It's all just resonances and riffing and harmony, and people come in and people step back. You know, we're just a jam band. But there's that highly creative, a lot of effort, a lot of planning, a lot of direction, a lot of structure, but also beautifully creative video from man, what's it? It's Jay or whatever. It's in the
Yeah.
description of PDK's video. I just watched it. Man alive. Like that guy is gifted. Like that's amazing. Really, really good.
Yeah, maybe I can point at him and help point. I feel like pointing and shining lights is something. It's like an interesting task.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Something we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like somebody like that. It's just amazing because I don't, to my knowledge, I've never interacted with this person. I've never spoken to him in like a voice chat or live chat, or not that I remember. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I have, and I just don't know. But like, dude, talk about a slow ferment. Like this person, whoever they are, they've been participating in this little corner for a while, obviously. And then they just, blast upon the scene with something like that. I mean, it's unbelievable. Oh my gosh, yes. It was really, really good.
Yeah, I noticed that was a lot of talent and skill. And the thing I noticed in myself is like when a light gets shined or someone gets pointed at, there's the Antichrist in me that will be like the attention seeker, and then I'll try to like push that thing down, and then I'll listen, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is good. It's like the attention seeker isn't able to appreciate what other people are doing, and that to be honest, I think I could I think my future self could appreciate what Jai did better than my current self, right? And my current self could do it better than my past self.
That's the goal, buddy. That's the Jordan Peterson thing. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. That's the only legit comparison. And even then, it's just like, even that comparison or that judgment. I mean, this is where I'll pitch my radical non-judgment shtick is like, Chinese farmer, we'll see. Who the hell knows? Your failure, and you're like, maybe you're doing worse than yesterday. Maybe there's something to learn in that,
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, like maybe there's some things you can keep on your radar, but you're blind to things at every moment, right? So
Yeah, for sure, buddy. So I'm assuming you work from home, huh?
I do. I've been doing that for a long time. 2018, full time, working from home, doing software. That's
Well,
the interesting thing about this corner is like my expertise and my focus is it's like my vocabulary is different than a lot of other people's vocabulary.
well, there's actually a lot of programmers, I think, and those kinds of software developers and stuff in the corner. They're just, um, but you are just, you know, like you still choose to interact with and operate with people like me, who's not that. Like I'm the
And
opposite of a software developer.
well, for some reason, well, I read Carlos Castaneda, and I tried to. I took from that the importance of trying to be impeccable and trying to expose yourself to uncomfortable situations in order to grow.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I still carry with that. There's other things in it, but so yeah, I mean, I'm not very comfortable doing this. Like, it's not comfortable for me to, be honest and come in and practice doing something I'm not good at.
Yeah,
You know?
that's how you get good at it, you know?
Exactly. I remember being in class and like seventh grade, and I would ask a lot of questions, and I had people like got on to me about asking too many questions.
Uh-huh.
So that kind of thing is still with me,
Yeah,
because I like to ask questions.
right. Well, I think some people don't. I think this corner is full of people who are probably people who've always asked a lot of questions. And then, you know, either it's with your parents or it's with your school or your church or whatever. And eventually you get to that point where people are like, why are you asking? Like, shut up. Why are you asking all these questions? Like, I don't know.
Is it on the test?
Or, yeah, or they'll just, and I don't know, maybe what are your thoughts on this? Like, maybe that is just, maybe that is a data point or a prompting that it's time for you to, you know, shake the dust off your feet, or a prophet is not welcome in his own town, or, you know, maybe it's just time for you to, and not even like in a judgmental way, we're like, well, screw you guys, you know, you don't want to learn and grow, but it's just time to move on, you know, when
Yeah.
people don't want to have the questions, you know, because really that's kind of what TLC is, right? We're just annoyingly constantly asking questions, you know, what do you mean by that? We're just going down.
It's a good question. Like, there's a big difference between saying, trying to correct someone's answer and then trying to understand their answer.
Yeah, for sure. Totally different spirit.
I mean, I noticed that in me today. Like, I was like wanting to correct. So yeah, it happens.
Yeah, for sure. Who were you wanting to correct?
Oh, everybody.
Uh,
the Jonathan Demir had he had invited he did a clip of me talking about claims of injury back in May of last year. So before I've actually cared about Jesus much, and and so he, this idea of claims of injury is yeah. If you're making a claim of injury, you're pointing. There's a way to do it. You can state what you see, how you feel, and maybe make a request. But that is an attempt at trying to transform things for the better, and what your idea of the better. And so you can do that when people mistreat you or when you see them mistreating others. But that whole exercise is different than just trying to understand. uh, how the other person sees the world, how they feel,
Right. Right.
how they see themselves. And it's hard to do both of those at the same time, if not for me at least, impossible to do both of those at the same time. I have to actually exit one state of mind and enter into another.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about how it feels, my experience of those things, because it's it's not exactly I don't know, because there's all these words, right? There's like the philonikeia or the agape, where are you in combat mode? You know, are you trying to win? Are you trying to conquer and
Right.
dominate, or are you trying to, I don't know, and and those things are hard because temperaments are so much different, but for me, I don't know, usually in the moment, I'm so zoned in either to my anger and wanting to win or into my listening, humility, trying to understand that I don't really like zoom out. And because I mean, I can't really zoom out from that moment because you're somewhat present in that moment, but the difference is palpable to me. You know, like
Yeah.
it's very clear when I'm in one mode or the other. And it's really amazing too that what it, like, I don't know, all this stuff is so much more deeply ingrained in us, in our bodies, quite literally, that like it's something like piloerection, you know, when your hair stands up, or like when you're in that philonikeia mode, like everything is, like whoever you're talking to, like they're tensed up, you know, they're like ready. Like there's all these, I don't know, I mean, you could throw whatever kind of scientific word you want to put on it, like all these pheromones and dopamine and serotonin and blah 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 blah. But like basically
Yeah.
what it is like your body is ready for a fight because you can sense that bodily. And then if
Yeah.
you are able to shift that energy to one of like agape uh, and trying to really love the other person into being and understand what they're going for, understand even what they want, no matter how poorly they're saying it, it just changes. You know, that tension. The difference doesn't change, but like the aggression changes. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that can, like in a relationship, that can grow, right? In the beginning, you might be seen as potential threats, and then
Uh-huh.
eventually you cultivate a relationship, cultivate trust, things like that, so that you're not in that fight mode. But you did have a question. I want to point out two comments that Tayo said. We're learning how to ask and discuss questions that could be seen as pedantic in a loving way. What is pedantic?
Well, that came up. He's maybe saying that because that came up in the live stream. Like Chad came in and he said, and he used pedantic, and so then I just kind of said jokingly, "What's that mean?" But I mean, my understanding of the word pedantic is it just means like almost making a condescending kind of air of your knowledge and explaining it, like talking down to people, explaining
Yeah.
something really uh,
Yeah.
in an overly complicated kind of arrogant way.
Yeah. I had the thought, did I learn something, or was knowledge given to me? You know, like I wanted to say earlier, I was thinking, did I learn a practice, or was a practice given to me? You know, it's interesting. Like even our language might reveal uh, if we are being condescending, if we're in a condescending antichrist kind of way. Cletus asked, please ask Luke if he talked to Sherry after the live stream.
No, I didn't, but I should, um, because I don't know. I was trying to track with what she was saying. I was trying to highlight her comments, but then I don't know. She somehow sometimes I don't know. Sherry's a very intuitive person, and I think sometimes she can, I don't know exactly what was going on. Sometimes she can get frustrated with comments or conversations because she just thinks like they're much ado about nothing or not going anywhere. I mean, I don't know. I was in the conversation and enjoying it and felt like it was being productive. So I don't know exactly what was going on with her.
Yeah. It's like we can want the conversation to go somewhere. We have an idea of what a better conversation would be, or a better response or action or something. That can
Well,
happen. It
yeah,
happens to me all the time, right? It
right.
happens in the people I love.
Well, that was a lot of what I mean, in that live stream, that's kind of what I was talking about. It was like this, that Vervaeke and Bishop Maximus, when they were talking about emanation and emergence, it's just a good, and so again, those are big, $10 words, but like essentially what it is it's like husbandry or gardening. Like you can have an idea about where you want something to go, or parenting. You can have ideas about your children, of what you want them to be and do and whatever. But you have to dance with that. If you hold that with too much rigor, you're going to be authoritarian. You're going to be like a dictator, and you're going to breed rebellion. You're going to be exacerbate. The scriptures tell us not to exacerbate your children. Don't unnecessarily frustrate your kids. You have to give them a degree of freedom. It's kind of like the free range parenting kind of thing. You have to give them the space to make mistakes and hurt themselves, or else they're never going to grow. And you could be like, well, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. You can have
Does
that
free
same
range
approach
go
to
too far?
well, it could, I guess.
Yeah. Wait, I've seen some. It's funny. It's actually a conversation. My wife and I homeschool, and she'll interact with other homeschoolers, so we get to see kind of the different ways. And
Yeah.
so you have all kinds of different things going on, and free range is interesting.
Well, and I think it's the exact same spirit though in a conversation, or like when you're live streaming, because like, so I start off a live stream, I'm hosting, I have ideas, I lay out all my ideas, I have a certain format I'm kind of evolving and developing. I like to talk for about a half hour, interact with some comments, and then I open it up. But then when you open it up, you change the space and other people come in. And I could sit there and just be like, well, that's kind of off topic the whole time from like what I was saying, and like, can we keep it back to what I was saying? But like, that's not cool. Like that's not a proper way, I think, to host that's where you kind of gotta kind of let the jazz happen a little bit.
I think that's why you're good at it.
Well, thank you. I mean, I try to be. I really think that I try, and I mean, I really do try to practice what I preach. And I think a lot of times we learn things by modeling. Really, that was like when I really learned this was like back in my evangelicals. I went to a church for a long time in my early adult phase when me and my wife just got married, moved to Minneapolis, and we went to these churches that were just big on house churches. It was in like the house church movement. You familiar?
Yeah, I've heard of them, but yeah, I have not participated in it, except for like I've called what I'm trying to do at my house. My wife and I just talked about trying to have house church, and that's the way we communicated it to our kids, which just means I'm going to read a little bit of scripture, and we're going to try to think about it a little bit and maybe see how it's applicable, right?
Right. It's kind of like
different whenever you invite families in, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's the house church kind of small group movement was basically like it was basically a move in evangelicalism to say like the Sunday gathering is not the main thing. Like the main thing is these fellowships and communities that are happening at like multiple touch points or whatever during the week. So like we would go to this church where it was mandatory at the church to be in a small group, and we met like once a week. And so that was a really actually cool and blessed time for me. And I think I really learned, like I had a small group leader. I don't know if he wants me to call him out, but I really learned a lot from this guy. He he really modeled for the group how to have humility, how to confess your sins. Like he had a very open and transparent leadership style where he would, because you're trying to foster all that in people, right? Like confessing your sins and praying for one another. Well, lead by example, you know? And he would open up and be really vulnerable and, you know, confess things to the group that I think would scare naturally a lot of people. And I just mimetically kind of caught that spirit, you know? And ever since then, I mean, that's just, I don't know. I suppose I do my own share of like preaching at people to do things differently. But I think it's kind of like that whole idea is truth is often better caught than taught, you know?
Right.
You just see it. It's like osmosis, you know? And it's indirect. It's not the browbeating kind of do this. It's just like, well, be that. Like, be the kind of person you want your kids to be, you know?
Right. If you want your kids to eat healthy, you probably should eat healthy too.
Yeah. That hasn't worked for me, but
yeah, it's not necessarily working at our house either.
Oh my Lord.
If I go eat like a piece of candy, they're going to want a piece of candy. It's funny. The kids are like, they'll like point at me and accuse me and assume that they get one. If I get one.
No, totally. My kids will do the same thing. And I'm just like, the difference is like, I do this, like I have like some kind of fun candy treaty thing, like maybe once a week. You eat it like 10 times a day. And I have it once a week and you're like, hey, you're having it. I'm like, yeah, I am having it right now.
Sure.
Kids are great. How many kids?
What's that?
How many kids do you have?
3 kids, 8, 6, and 3.
Okay.
How many do you have?
3, yeah.
3.
Mine are older. They're, well, 16, 14, 12, essentially, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not.
It's a little bit of a different phase. We're in the teenage phase. All those stories you hear all the time about teenagers. Yeah, they're true. Right in the middle of it.
Oh man, I think I was talking to my 8-year-old about in Judaism. There's something that happens with boys at the age of 13, and maybe at girls at 12. But it's like you need to become a responsible person at some point. Like, you know, so I'm trying to point at that. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to expect you to be able to do all of this now, but there's a future coming up.
Yeah. How do you approach technology and screen time and phones and all that? Do you have a game plan or do you have a practice?
Well, it's changed over the years, and I know I do things that many people would disagree with, but let's see. The YouTube is what scares me the most. Like, they've got YouTube Kids, and even that scared me because all of a sudden I'd hear someone on YouTube Kids saying, you know, no to their parent, you know, and I'm just like, they're learning this. I mean, I want them to be able to say no. I'm trying to teach them that they need to be able to say no and respect each other's no, but you know, it shouldn't be overused. Sometimes I need to use a voice and you need to say yes, sir, because it's important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, YouTube, I'm very careful about that. The kids all have iPads, and I think our routine looks something like my wife does a lot of the schooling during the day while I'm working, and I'm kind of like the principal. If one of the 3 gets out of hand, I'll bring them up to the office. The youngest usually needs a hug, but there's something called quiet time, which has evolved over a while. And we try to teach them that like things like timeout are good. Like, it's actually a practice. It's really good being able to do a timeout. So we don't like to treat timeout as a punishment.
Right. Yeah, I think that's good.
But the quiet time it's really time for my wife to be able to go out in the garden and do some therapy,
Yeah.
and so that's when they
Little
get
break
the
for
iPad.
her. Yeah.
Yeah, and right now all three of them really like Minecraft, including my 3-year-old, who is better than my wife at Minecraft. But yeah, I mean it's. Oh yeah, my son recently started doing animations on the iPad. I was like,
Huh.
"You're already doing better animations than I am."
Dang.
um, but yeah, it's cool. We try to encourage them. Um, but everybody's got different practices and philosophies. We can definitely see when like their state of mind changes and what the iPads can do. Like the
Mm-hmm.
wanting immediate gratification can
Yeah.
happen, where you can really notice it. It's like, oh, you've had too much. This is ridiculous. Like you were wanting immediate gratification. There's no patience. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's something to be very cautious about.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right, buddy.
Worry
I
about
think I'm
content.
gonna.
Worry about content.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna bolt out here. I'm done with my elliptical time, so I
Thank
keep
you, Luke.
rocking
Thank you
on
for
with the
swinging
day.
by.
Absolutely. Always nice to talk to you, buddy.
All right.
See ya.
You too. Bye bye. I dropped a link in earlier. Dio called it Wholesome Dad Chat. Yeah. Anytime you start getting into the way you parent, there's going to be disagreement. But we love our kids. That's one of the most important rules. Love them. Let's see. Lance says pedantic is an insulting word used to describe someone who annoys others by correcting small errors, caring too much about minor details. It depends on what you mean by X. So it depends on what you mean by X. I almost said it. It depends on. It depends on. What are you aiming at? Yeah, when they ask Jordan Peterson, do you believe in God? And he says it depends on what you mean by believe and God. I mean, that's not pedantic, but I could imagine it being used in a pedantic way. Is it? Hmm. I'm someone who cares about minor details. So it's one time I was laying a foundation and not a foundation. It was just a pad for some stairs. I built the deck at my old house and had to build the stairs and built a pad. And I did it with my father-in-law. And he says, it's not rocket science. And recently, within the last year, a coworker, he told me, he said, it's not rocket science. So my problem is I helped with missile defense for 6 years. So I have that in my programming. So, people come by it naturally, caring about minor details, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now. Sorry. Well. Luke, elliptical chats are such a flex. It would be more of a flex if he started doing the push-ups. I actually put a few push-ups. I got into a 1-month exercise routine last year. I need to get back into exercising better. What's the difference between free range and feral? That's hilarious. Yeah, we saw a family that has like 7 or 8 children, and the older ones seemed very nice, but the younger ones seemed very wild. And one of them was like going uphill in the middle of a street, and it's like very young, maybe I don't know, 3 or 4 years old. And so free range is, I mean, free range, they might get killed, depending on how free they are. You got to be careful. That's a good question. I don't have the answer. I mean, it'd be fun to talk about. Oh, Luke, by the way, Luke did the pull-ups off camera. Just How many pull-ups, Luke? How many pull-ups? I've got a hangboard. Let's see. There's my hangboard. Like I like rock climbing, and so I do that sometimes. Yeah, the kind of gifts I got my wife, like that was a gift I got her, and I got her like a toolbox one time. But now it's hanging in my office. Let's see. Lance, you don't leave your kids entirely up to the wild, make most of. Some parents really take it extreme, but I guess that's the question. You know, obviously, there's some kind of a help that you're providing. Lance, fences are actually good for horses, for example, but you need to give them enough room for some free roaming. My aunt had horses back in Starkville, Mississippi, when I was growing up, and there was a smaller. We put them up at night in the what do you even call it? I mean, it was like a barn, stables. You clean their mess every morning. You feed them every night, and then they got to go free roam. Do a lot of They'd go, they'd get a mile or two away, and then she would whistle, and they would come. Walking the baby with baby and carrier right now. I loved the chat just now. Yeah, that's what's cool. It's like there are things I thought about that when Michael Sartori was talking about. He got highlighted talking about being interested in working with your hands. C.S. Lewis, uh, for example. I don't remember the third one. But I was thinking, it's like I'm interested in things other people aren't interested in here in this corner, but I'm a father and a husband. It's like we ought to be able to talk about that. Maybe there's some warning labels, some warnings. Maybe Luke has some warnings for me. I have no camera at the moment. I mean, in my book, Lance, you're okay without a camera. I think I'm given a little bit of autonomy here, especially if I know who you are, Lance. Phlebas, could Mennonite kids get killed every year in my area? Couple. He meant to say couple. Yeah, it's kind of like that's the free range. There is the possibility. That's what I'm assuming that's the possibility. That would be pretty tragic. I imagine it's even tragic for Mennonites. But if you believe they'll be in heaven, I don't know. It stinks. I have a nephew, and he died before he turned 1 year old. It's sad. More sets, fewer reps. I'm getting older. Can't meat headed anymore. Yeah, I hear you. I actually do assisted. I like assisted. I have a foam roller, and I put it up, and then I put a foot on the foam roller, and I do that. Or I need to do it more, to be honest. The old man strength. Yeah, I've watched a few videos. We could watch an old man, the strongest. there's some old man that can sit there and, like, I think hanging strength, grip strength. There's some old men who got some grip strength. It's crazy. But since no one's hopping in, I'll highlight Jai. We mentioned Jai earlier. I think a lot of y'all will enjoy that. Let's see. And you're more than welcome to hop in, and I get to practice my listening. I can practice my listening with Jai. Like, it's embarrassing how bad I am at going through poetry and listening to people and paying attention to art. Like, just terrible at all that. Let's see. All right. So this is Jai West. and this was the one. And obviously, you should just go watch it over there. But yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just want to, should I play it here or encourage you to go over there? Let's skip to the end, right? Oh, my internet. It's raining hard, people. Oh, man, it's not going to work. Oh, well. Anyways, that's Chai. My internet's hosed up. I live away from fast internet. I do have branding. I think, yeah, I with this with a few people paying attention, I feel like I have successfully allowed people to feel virtually not alone. Um, I could throw that brand up there, VNA, and then maybe play one of these. I like this one. I heard Upcycle did this one.
This means that the individual's psyche is far from being safely synthesized. On the contrary, it threatens to fragment only too easily under the onslaught of unchecked emotions. While this situation is familiar to us from the studies of anthropologists, it is not so irrelevant to our own advanced civilization as it might seem. We, too, can become dissociated and lose our identity. We can be possessed and altered by moods or become unreasonable and unable to recall important facts about ourselves or others, so that people ask, "What the devil has gotten into you?" We talk about being able to control ourselves, but self-control is a rare and remarkable virtue.
I was eating. Thank you, Tayo. That was kind. Let's see. Yep, Gavin has grown into a leading light of the TLC in my book. Well, that's nice of you, Lance. I have to be careful with all that, though. So it's I'm very bad at, yeah, I can get a lot better at listening and, yeah, at all this stuff. So, but I also have to overcome my fear of being bad at it, because sometimes those fears of being bad at something ends up, like, it ends up making me delusional, right? So if I'm not, if I ignore the thing, my weaknesses, I can become delusional. And when you're delusional, you don't even know that you have weaknesses. You think you're great. So, well, yeah, those are kind words. Well, I think I've had enough. And I hope y'all have a great day. I'm going to finish my sandwich. And yeah, I'll go check out Jai as soon as my internet allows me. You guys go check it out as well. Leave a comment there. And yeah, maybe pointing towards others, practicing listening to others, shining a light on others is pretty cool. So y'all have a good one. Thanks, Gavin. Adios. Maybe I'll leave with I have the train, but man, that's so loud. I like this diver, honestly.